First speaker today is Gerard McNamara, who's the Senior VP of Sales for North America and Europe at PatSnap. His title of his talk today is SDR Optimisation, Overcoming the Activity versus Results Dilemma. Really interesting topic that we're hearing a lot about at the moment. Just to give you a bit of background on Gerard, he's got over 20 years of experience in the industry, made his start in sales with Xerox, and has since held leadership roles with names such as Cision, Trenkite, Notified, and now he's joined PatSnap recently this year as their SVP for North America and Europe. Spin trained and MedPIC certified. He's dedicated to high velocity pipeline creation, building and optimizing sales development teams. Could you welcome Gerard to the stage for me, please?
Thank you very much. It's good to see that there's such a focus already on SDR and top of funnel optimization, and that's really my passion as a sales leader. So I'm going to spend the next 7 minutes or so giving you some high-level tips, as I've been advised to, mistakes I've made, mistakes solved, to help with that. So we've kind of done the intros. So I'll start by getting your attention by saying that there's a health warning attached to this session, which is that the tips that I've got, they challenge conventional thinking. They're not yet another sort of rehash of what you might read in books. These are mistakes that I've made, that I've solved, and they're not comfortable mistakes to solve. And they also run counter to human nature. So I'll kind of unpack that a little bit before we get into the main piece. What do we mean by challenging human nature? Dysfunctions that I've found in many sales development teams, right? Number one, SDRs primarily focused on themselves instead of focused on the customer. Number two, SDRs actually quite scared of getting on the phone, understandably. So they kind of spend their time on email, on social, and don't really dial much. And then my favorite, number three, which is something I've worked really hard to eradicate, which is the SDR over a pint once they've been promoted saying, geez, if I'd known what it was like, I wouldn't have booked half the meetings that I'd booked as an SDR. We're like, right, well, that's got to stop. And this is all human nature, right? You've got human nature is there to, it's self-preservation. Self-preservation, I don't want to get rejected. I'm going to focus on doing anything but getting rejected. I'm going to focus on myself. I'm not trained to focus on what's important, which is how the customer feels when I'm interacting with them. And then finally, number three, which is focusing on your commission plan, however that is constructed on generating a meeting that holds, that might not actually lead to anything. So those are the kind of human nature pieces at a high level. And then I just thought I'd ask the room on conventional thinking. The question is, in an ideal world, should account executives, new logo hunters, really anybody with a new business target and a full end-to-end sales cycle, should they spend time on pipeline generation? So for those that think yes, please put your hands up now. And then for those who think no, put their hands up now. That's even better than I thought. So that's what I mean by conventional thinking. Even the most respected sales leaders will say that it's important to spend time on PG and generating your own leads. But my view is slightly different, and this is where I challenge conventional thinking, because as a productivity tip, I've thought a lot about this and worked a lot on this. Productivity invariably is optimized when everybody is deployed on tasks that make the most of their skill. So when everyone's enabled to contribute to their best and highest use. So what I'm working on in PatSnap, as I have done in other companies, is let's really separate those tasks. So let's get the lead sourcing externalized and done so that the SDRs can spend all of their time doing outreach. And let's make that outreach phone-based first, because if you do get hold of someone and book a meeting, you don't need to send emails, white papers, connect on LinkedIn. You've got the meeting, you're done. AEs, in my opinion, I've said this to the team, we've got one sales manager from PatSnap here. I want them to be so busy doing good SDR demos that they haven't got time to prospect. I actually had that about 12 years ago as a senior account exec myself, where I had one-on-one support by SDRs, where I had a meeting at 11 I had to prepare for, I had one at 3, and then you think you're done, there's one at 5, you're not going to get out till 8, you had dinner booked for 7, you've got to cancel it because you're going to make money from that call. That's the kind of problem I want people to have. When are you going to do pipeline generation? You haven't got time. So that's where I talk about challenging conventional thinking. Yes, of course you need to be able to do it if you need to, but why not build an engine that doesn't need it so that you're optimizing people? And then, once you've sold the deal and it gets passed to account management, those people should be the ones that are closest to the customer. So they should manage the renewal. They should be able to drive more value from the product by actually recommending more product, which is the upsell, or maybe some additional products that help link various departments together, which would be the cross-sell. So really getting that optimized. So when it comes to simplification, I'm a big believer in making things super simple so that they get absorbed. I'm not, let's make it hard and grind. Let's simplify it. Let's get results. So this is the concept of the sales pie, but transformed to the SDR pie, which is really the 3 slices, equal size of equal importance. Number 1 is your data and your research, which is really getting enough clean calling data to make a day's worth of dials. So you need to work out how many dials you need to make, to hit your numbers. Normally it's 1 in 30, I think, average dials to connect, maybe 3 connects to 1 meeting. So you need to do 90 dials. So getting that number and getting enough clean, ideal customer profile data loaded and checked each morning before you start. Number 2, the sales skills. And this is, where we challenge conventional thinking by actually going, right, I'm going to do a phone-first approach. I'm not going to do LinkedIn. I'm not going to do an email. I'm going to try your number. If I don't get hold of you, I'll leave a very tight message, follow up with a very tight email, do a LinkedIn, and maybe send some really appropriate content. But if I get hold of you, I am going to distract you from the second you pick up. I'm not going to introduce myself. I'm not going to say who I am. I'm not going to say who I'm calling from. And I'm not going to ask you how you are today. And that's the bit that gets everybody terrified. Because these well-balanced people in SDR jobs, that's how you introduce yourself to a stranger. But imagine, you're walking along the street, you need directions to the station. You're not going to introduce yourself, give your name, and ask them how they are. You're going to go, excuse me, do you know the way to the station? And they'll either say yes or no. And they're not going to think any worse of you. Now, when you're interrupting a complete stranger in their working day, it's a very similar model. So it's the why you, why now model. That's fairly familiar, but how you deliver it, the phone picks up, hit them with value. So, James, we're going to practice with you, right?
Go on.
Phone rings.
Ring, ring.
Is that James?
Yes.
James, hi. I'm calling you because I know that you do events and you fill rooms with people.
That's right.
I'm calling you now because I've got a technology that can help you maximize the attendance of those events. Have you got a minute?
Yes, I have.
Thank you very much. My name is, I'm calling from.
Done.
Are you all right today? So it's really that distraction. You're suddenly going from being an irritant to actually having dropped value. And if it's done in the right way with the right research, which is the first part of the pie, it works really well. But it terrifies SDRs to try it. So I'll often role play it with them. I'll say, what's your hobby? Ring, ring. Right, I'm calling you because I know that you're a bodybuilder. I'm calling because I'm opening a gym next to your house. 3 months free. Have you got a minute? Yeah, I do. So that's the way I get that one in. Drop value immediately. And then finally, the thing that I'm really here to talk about, the activity dilemma, which is really the one that I think can destroy SDR cultures, where it's right, we're going to have a dialing day today, or we're going to do 150 dials, or we're going to set activity metrics. Those, in my experience, always get gamed. When I was at Xerox, people called the talking clock. I don't even know if that exists anymore. But, I've got my dials up. I've called the talking clock 10 times in a row. Or, you ring up, so they answer, you hang up because you don't want to speak to them. That's pretty normal in a lot of SDR teams. So what I got to build a brand new SDR organization a couple of years ago, recruited a manager and a team of 20. And, they were there at the end of the day going, oh, no one picked up. It's a slow day. And it sounds like you're blaming the day for being slow and blaming people for not picking up. I said, what you should be doing is saying, right, have I got enough people to call? Have I tried calling them enough times to give me a chance to get hold of them? And have I got the skill to distract them? So that's where this whole program really got formalized. And I created a currency, which is really this last slide, which is really what I'm here to talk about, which was I don't care how many dials you make, I care how many meetings you book. And actually, I don't care how many meetings you book. I care how many of those convert into a sales cycle. And really, we don't even care about that. We care about how many we win and how quickly and for how much. So I said, look, if we can't get any meetings, let's at least get the dials up. So we said, right, let's set the target. Come ready with 100 ideal customer profiles prepared, and be prepared to dial them all today. Now, SalesLoft or any other outreach technology, for example, you can easily do 1 dial a minute. So if you do 40 dials in an hour, to be reasonable, you're done by lunch. It's perfectly acceptable. So we did 100 dials, and we said for every meeting that you book, we'll take 30 dials off. So actually, you probably end up only having to do 40 or 50, which is the SDR average. And so as you see on this slide, we stopped all the dysfunctions and said, right, it is primarily activity. Be prepared to do the dials, but if you don't make them, then you failed. And that was the final piece of this project, which was to prepare you ultimately. For me, internal SDRs, they're not really SDRs, they're trainee AEs. I said to them, if you do 99 dials, as this model shows, you've got example 1 here. I've done 20 dials, I've booked 1 demo, I get 30 dial credit, I'm on 50. I book another demo, I do another 20 dials, gets me another demo, I'm on 100, I've hit my target and go home. No anxiety, no issues. However, if I've done it the same way, but only done 19 dials, I'm on 99, I've missed. They say, well, that seems a bit silly, that seems a bit, pernickety. So I said, okay, well, maybe in this scenario it is, but when you're in sales, you've got a 100K target, you've got 5 deals worth 20K, and you nearly win them all. How much commission are you going to earn? And then they realized nothing. So, welcome to sales, I said. And that's me. Thank you very much.